Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is YAHMAD. In this video I'm going to be completing the data analysis section, which is spreadsheets, from paper 3 from the CIE ICT IGCSE course. Now we're going to be doing the February-March 2019 paper. Just to remind you guys, paper 3 is a 2-hour and 30-minute long practical paper which includes data analysis and website authoring. So the first part I've already completed. I've opened up the evidence document, I've included my details in the header, and then I've saved the evidence document as a word process file into my source folder, and also I've included my candidate number at the end. So we will be using the evidence document to place any screenshots. So here's the evidence document. You can see I've included my candidate number, I've saved it as a word process document. You can see the header details appears here at the top. Okay, so let's go down to page 6 to start the spreadsheet section. Okay, task 3, spreadsheets. You are going to prepare a spreadsheet model for use by employees of Glorious Gardens. So I'm guessing the spreadsheet is going to be all about plants. What we need to do first of all is open these files in a spreadsheet package and examine their contents. So we need to open these 3 files here, so trees.csv, category.csv and treecodes.csv. Okay, so let's have a look. If you go to your source folder, let's double click to open up each of these files. So that's the first file here. Let's open up the second file. So this is tree codes, and let's open up the main file. I'm guessing now trees. Yeah, so I think this is going to be the main file that we're going to be working from. The first thing you should do is open up the columns and have a look at the data. So I'm guessing this is all information about the different plants that I have in these gardens, and we have some blank columns, and we may be getting information from the other sheets. So let's have a look at the other sheets. So category, we've got categories here, LT, MT, ST. So the first thing I want to identify is this information in the main sheet here. If it is, then it may be used for a VLOOKUP later. So we've got LT and MT. So that will match up with this. And then we've got type and size. Let me just have a look here. So the category may be the type. Let's now look at the second sheet, tree codes. So we've got codes like W, L, E, A. Let me just see if they appear somewhere in the main sheet. Yep, so you got T may mean tree codes. So W, L, S. Does that appear? So W, L, S. Yep, so it looks like some of these codes are matching with the codes on the sheet. So I reckon, without looking at the question paper, these 2 sheets are going to be used for VLOOKUPs at some point. Right, so that's the first part done. Let's go to the question paper. In a trees spreadsheet, place your name, center number and candidate number on the right in the header. So for my center number I'll use 5, 6 and 7, 8. For my candidate number I'll use 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously in the exam you'll have to use your own details. So let me include the header first of all. So let me open up trees again. To insert a header, you go to insert. Header and footer should appear here. For me, if I click on text, it appears here. So let's go to header. I think on the right hand side we want to place our name, center number and candidate number. So let me place my name first of all. Oops, let me click inside of this box. Center number I use 5, 6, 7, 8. Candidate number I use 1, 2, 3, 4. If you had to include something in the center, you just click on this box, and on the left you click on this box here. So that's that done. An automated file name, including a file path on the left in the footer. So we need to go to the footer now. So we can click here to go to the footer. On the left, what we want to include is the file name and a file path. So the file name is here. So let's click space, and then we can include the file path. Okay, we don't want to show the file name again, so we can get rid of this part here. So we've got the file name and then the path. And then to get back to the normal view, you can click on any cell. You can go to view and select normal. And then if we go to print preview, we can check to see if these details show up. So if you go to print, you can see the candidate details appear at the top right of each page, and then the file name as well as the file path appears at the bottom. So the path is basically where the file is saved, and if I keep going, you can see the same details appear on every page. So that's that done. Okay, before I move forward, I'm just going to skip forward. I'm going to skip this part here. I want to save this as a spreadsheet with the name or the file name trees underscore followed by center number and candidate number. So with any of these tasks, you need to make sure you save it as an Excel workbook, because we're going to be using some formulas and functions later. If you leave it as a CSV and you close down the file and then you open up the file again, you only have values. You won't see your formulas again. So it's really important we save it as a spreadsheet Excel or spreadsheet workbook. So let me just copy and paste this again. Oh, what am I doing? Here we go. So the middle part will be the candidate or the center number. So this will be the center number, and then this will be the candidate number. So file, save as, we include a name, include my center number 5678. Let me include my candidate number 1234, and as mentioned, it's really important you save this as an Excel workbook, and you can save it into your same source folder and double check the file type. Yep, it's Excel workbook, and save. And what you should be doing is pressing save every time you've completed a major step, just in case your computer crashes, and then at least you can return back to where you saved your work. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to question 16. So in a trees spreadsheet, insert 3 new rows before row 1. Okay, so we need to insert 3 new rows. So if you click on number 1 here, right click your mouse, click on insert, that's the first row, do it again, insert and insert. So we've inserted 1, 2, 3 rows now. Okay, and edit the file so it looks like this. So I'm just going to highlight this. So what you'll notice, first of all, we have cells which have been merged across. So from A1 to M1, that's been merged into one cell. So let me merge from A1 to M1 into one cell. Merge and center. So that now becomes one cell. In this merged cell, we have the title Glorious Gardens. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to come up to here. Let me just delete this again and copy and paste this. Obviously in the exam you're going to be expected to type this from your exam paper. But since I have the paper electronic version of it, I can copy and paste. So I'll use the shortcut key to copy and paste, Control V. Okay. So before we move forward, you can see the text is a sans serif font and it's italic. So for sans serif, I'm going to go with Arial. Whoops, I'm not spelling it right. There we go. Arial. We're going to make it italic, and we're also going to increase the font size as well. You can see the font size has been increased here. And also we need to increase the row height as well. So it looks like it's basically double the size of a normal cell or normal row height. So let me first of all increase the size of the font. So the normal height is 15. Yeah, that looks fine with me. Let's increase the text slightly more. And it looks like also the text is bold. So let me make it bold as well. Yeah. and the background color is grey. So let's change the background color of the cell to grey. So if we go to my paint bucket, it looks like a dark grey. And then what we're going to do to text, we're going to change it to this color here. Okay, so that's the first part done. Now the second row, you can see that's also been increased as well. So let me just double check again. It's not quite as big as row 1, but it still has been increased. So the height which we had for row 1 was about 37. Let's make this about 27. Okay. And then you have some text in here. So what we can do is I'm going to enter this text, but I'm guessing I'm going to have to merge some cells again. So it looks like it's going to be from E2 to M2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to merge these cells here, so E2 to M2, and then this text looks like it's been right aligned. So let me highlight E2 and merge this text here, or these cells here, into one. Then I'm going to type in this information here. So this again looks like a sans serif font. It's not italic in this case. So let me type it in. So native British trees and shrubs. Just want to check the spelling. So yeah, so S-H-R-U-B-S. Make sure you don't make any spelling mistakes. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to increase the size of the text so it fills all of this space here, and we want it to be right aligned. So let me right align the text. Let me increase the size of the text. Okay, this looks like it's going to, it's not fitting all the way across. Let me just double check again. So you can see here they've decreased the size of these columns here. So let me decrease F, G, H, I. So let me highlight all of these. Okay, I think we can decrease this even more. And I'm going to keep increasing the size. Okay, let's increase this a little bit more. I think I'm going to have to increase the size of this font as well. No, that's too much. So let's see if I go to 37. Yeah, so slightly comes into E. So if we look at this here, it slightly comes into E. So since we've resized this text, this one's slightly bigger, so I'm going to have to resize this as well. I'm just checking to see how much the G starts at the start of cell B, and S should be in K. I think that's maybe too big. Let me go with 44. Okay, and I think that's close enough. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Right. And then the third column, you can see is the height has been reduced. So let's reduce the height of the third column. So when you see the black mouse turns into this cursor here, you can press down to reduce the size. Okay, I'm going to have a closer look at this actually. It actually looks like this row here, or these cells here, have been merged into one. So it's quite hard to tell, but it looks like this could be merged from A2 to M2 into one. So I merged it, I think, from here to here. So what I'm going to do actually, let me just fix that. Let's merge all of these into one. So you have to double click to unmerge and then click again, and then let's right align. And it does look like the text is bold, so let me just change that to bold. Okay, so they haven't given you specific font styles to use, specific sizes, so it's a bit of guesswork, so you just have to try your best. So there is 9 marks, and obviously make sure you are getting correct font styles. It's quite clear to me both of these styles are sans serif. This is italic as well, so make sure you are applying the correct formatting to the text. And make sure you don't make spelling mistakes. It's quite easy not to use capital letters when shown here, so it should be capital N, capital B. Let me double check that before we go forward. Yep, trees and shrubs. Okay, so that's that done. Now for question 17, take a screenshot showing cells A1 to M5 of your spreadsheet, including the row and column headings. Make sure the contents of the cells are fully visible. So we need to take a screenshot from A1 to M5, which is going to be from here to M5, which is basically here. Oh, sorry, it's going to be this here. Before I do so, let me just double check the headings here. Was I meant to change the headings? Yep, so can you see the row 4, the headings are actually bold. So I almost missed something there. So row 4, let me make the headings bold before I take my print screen. So just increase that. And what's the formatting? Is it, so it looks like left aligned. Okay, so we're going to basically take a print screen from here all the way to M5, so up to here. Let me double check if that was what they were asking. Yeah. So if you want to use the snipping tool, you can do. It's up to you. I just prefer to take a print screen and crop. So we need to make sure you include the column headings and row numbers as well. So if we go to my evidence document, evidence 7, let's paste. And then let's crop. I want to include my letters, and I want to go to M5. Once you've done that, you can then increase the size of your print screen. Yep, I'm happy with that. So if I zoom in, you can see, just click up here so it's not selected. You can see the column headings, the row numbers. It's from A1 to M5. You can see we're on row 5 here, and they're going to be marking the formatting you've applied here so far. So let me save the changes to the evidence document, and let me go back to the question. So we've done that. Okay, question 18. Enter a function into cell D5. So let me first of all identify where D5 is. So D5 is here. Okay. To look up the type of tree or shrub from the source file category.csv. So we need to look up the type of tree or shrub from the source file category.csv. So if I go to the category.csv file, okay, so let me double check again what we're doing. So we're looking up the type of tree or shrub. So we're going to be looking up the second column here, and for the lookup we can use these codes here, so LT, MT, which appears in this column here, so LT, MT, and so forth. Okay, so remember, since we're looking up to an external sheet, there's no need to absolute cell reference. You'll see it's going to be done for us. So let's start by typing in VLOOKUP, since it's going to be vertical. The lookup value will be the code, which also appears in a table array. To get to table array, you need to press comma. Let's go to the category. Just let me double check actually. Was it category? Yep, category CSV file. So let's go to category. Make sure the files are open before you start doing a VLOOKUP. So you can see, since it is an external sheet, it's absolute cell reference automatically, so it's not going to move position when we drag down replicate the function. Comma, the column index basically refers to the output, so this is a table array and we want to output the second column, so we can type in 2. And the last part is we want an exact match. So let's say the code is empty, then the type will be medium tree. So let's double click exact match, close the bracket and press enter. And I'm just going to slightly open this column here, and then we can replicate. I think at some point they will ask us to replicate the formulas. Yeah, replicate. But I'm going to do it now. Okay. It says do not edit the source file. So the source file is this one here. Do not change anything. So I haven't changed anything. So let me go back to here and drag this down. You can choose to replicate it later when it asks, or you can do it as you're going along. So let's increase the size of the column. Okay, so that's done. Save the changes. Let's go to the next question. Okay, so the L code, T code and D code columns holds codes for whether a tree or shrub likes, tolerates or dislikes certain environmental factors. So let's have a look at the Excel. So we got L code, T code and D code, which contains codes about environmental factors, and the codes in this column I'm guessing is going to refer to likes since it starts with L. The codes in this column starts with T, so it's going to refer to tolerates, and the codes in this column are going to refer to dislikes since this code starts with D. So L code is going to refer to likes. The T code is going to refer to tolerates, and the D code is going to refer to dislikes. Okay, and we're going to be focusing on environmental factors. So question 19, enter functions in cells I5, J5 and K5 to look up the environmental factors. So let me identify where I5, J5 and K5 are first of all. So it's going to be these cells there, so I5, J5 and K5. So we're going to be inserting some functions into here to look up environmental factors from the source file treecodes.csv. So we're going to be using this file here. So we've got the codes which will match up to the environmental factors. So let's have a look at one example before we actually do any functions. So for this particular tree or shrub, for tolerates, the code is W. So what does it tolerate? Let's have a look. So if the code is W, it's going to tolerate wet soil. Let's have a look at another example before we move forward. For this example here, ash, it's going to like K. Okay, so what is it going to like? Let's double check. Alkaline soil. And if I go back, and it's going to dislike A, which is going to be acid soil. Okay, so that makes sense, doesn't it? So that's what we need to do, but if you read the rest of the question, we can't edit the source file, okay? And we need to make sure when these functions are used, they do not display any error messages. Now, the reason we're going to get an error message is, if you go back to the Excel, you have blank cells here, which refer to nothing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you what would happen if you do a normal VLOOKUP without thinking about it, and you'll see the error message that you're going to receive. So I'm going to do it for likes initially. So let's do it VLOOKUP. And what I want to do is I'm going to look up this column here. So remember, I'm going to be purposely making a mistake. Comma. The table array is going to be this one here, and we want the environmental factors, so you can just highlight from here to here. It's absolute cell referenced already since it's an external sheet, comma, comma, the environmental factors are in the second column, and we want the exact match. Close the bracket, press enter, and you've got an error message. I'm hoping if I drag this down for K, we're going to get something. So let's drag this down, all the way down. So anywhere where there's a letter, we should get something. And let's have a look. Yep, so there's a match here, so we've got alkaline soil. There's a match here, so we've got lime. So anywhere where you see a letter in this column here, column F, you see a match, and we're getting an output in the second column from the table array. Okay, so K. However, you can see we got the error message. Okay, we don't want to show any error message. So to get around this, I'm going to delete this, and we're going to do something slightly different. So what I'm going to do an if statement, which is basically going to check if this cell is not blank. So if the cell is not blank, then we're going to run the VLOOKUP. If the cell is blank, then we're going to have a blank space shown here instead of the error message. So let me show you first of all. So equal if. The first thing we want to say is if this cell here is not blank, so I'm just going to include two speech marks. So this is a not sign. So if F5 is not blank, so there is a letter inside, then if that's true, so if I press comma, we're going to run the VLOOKUP. Okay, so if it's true, this is not blank, there's a letter inside, we're going to basically look up. So if we can enter VLOOKUP for the true statement, we're going to look up this cell here, comma, oh, I've got two commas there, comma, the table array, we're going to refer to this table again. So if we can highlight this table array, you can see it's absolute cell reference automatically since it's an external sheet, comma, to comma, exact. Okay, so if I close the bracket, what we've done so far, we've done a logical test, and we're first of all checking to see if F5, if it's not blank, which means there's a letter inside, we do a lookup. Okay, so we look up the letter inside, hopefully matching up with the outputs here in the second column. Okay, but there's a last part of the if statement. Okay, so if there's not a lookup that we need to do, then what we're going to return for the false, it's going to be a blank space. So let's say if the cell was blank, then instead of returning the error message, we're going to, for the false statement, return a blank space. So we close the bracket and press enter. So we have a blank space here, so don't panic. Let's have a look at the formula that you've done. So we're basically checking to see if this is not blank. This is blank, so it's return a false value here, as you can see here. So let me just press enter. Let me drag this down. Okay, so where we have information is where when the formula is true. So for example, this cell here is not blank. Okay, so this is not blank, so this is true. So if it's true, it runs a VLOOKUP. When a cell is blank, okay, then this statement is no longer true, so we skip the true part and we show the false part instead. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and complete tolerates, referring to this column here, and then dislikes, which refers to this column here. So it's basically the same steps as we just did now. So equal if T code is not blank, comma, if it's true, we're going to run the VLOOKUP. Okay, we look up this code. So in this first example, this is not blank, is it? So we're going to be running this true statement. So this statement is true. This cell is not blank, so we're going to run this true statement. So we run look up G5. We go to the table array again. We highlight the same array of cells. It's locked again, comma to comma exact. Close the bracket, so we get back to the if statement. So if the cell was blank, we don't want an error message. So for the false, we're just going to return an empty space. We can include 2 speech marks. Close the bracket, press enter. Again, we can drag this down. And again, you can see we have some cells which contains values, letters, and other cells which are blank. So if I was to delete this, for example, this is no longer true. G5 is not blank, okay? So therefore the false is shown. We're showing an empty space within speech marks, okay? If I press enter, let's press Ctrl Z to get that code back. Okay, obviously this is not blank, so it's got a letter inside, so therefore we run now the VLOOKUP. Let me do the final column. I hope this is starting to make a little bit more sense now. So equal if, we're going to check this decode column for dislikes if it's blank first of all. So if this is not actually blank, comma, if it's not blank and if it's true, let's run the VLOOKUP. Again, we're going to check this column now, comma, let's go to the table array, highlight the table array, comma, to, comma, exact match, close the bracket, comma, and let's enter the false value. So if there's nothing inside that cell, then we want to just return an empty space within speech marks. Close the bracket, enter. So there was nothing inside of this cell, so it's not blank, so we show the empty space instead. If I drag this down, okay, let's go up. So you can see in this column we've got K and we've got W, and then we have an output. Okay, so I'm going to increase the size of this column so we can show all of the information. So I hope that's made sense. It was a little bit tricky, but you just got to think about it. You don't want to show the error message. In the first example I showed the error message. So just a quick recap, if I go back to likes again, so if the cell is not blank, so this cell was blank, okay, so if the cell wasn't blank, it contains a letter, then we do a VLOOKUP. If the cell is blank, then we just return space here. So if the cell wasn't blank, it contains a letter, we run the VLOOKUP. If it's blank, we show a blank space here. Enter. Let me save the changes. And replicate, I've done that already. That's basically where you're dragging down the formulas. Okay, so for step 18 and 19, that's done. And the results are displayed for all of the trees. Okay. Hide columns C, F, G, and H. So C, we need to hide. So you can right click on a letter and select hide. F and G, we can hide both of these together, and H as well. And we're now going to the first printout. So save this and print the spreadsheet showing the formulae. Make sure. So let me first put the formulas on. So if we go to formulas, show formulas. So we can decrease the size of these columns here. We don't need to have them as big. Oops, what have we done there? We can just double click there. And it's really important we show the all of the formulas functions in full. So if we go across, okay, and let me zoom out slightly so you can see all of the data now in full, including the formulas. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with that. So how are we going to print? So only rows 1 to 29 are visible. So 1 to 29 are visible, so I don't know if you can see, but it's 29 there. So what I want to do is I want to hide the other rows. Okay, so 1 to 9 is visible. I don't know if you can see, but I'm up to 29 here. I'm just going to highlight 30, and I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and we want to hide these rows here. So let's hide these rows. Okay, so 1 to 29 are visible now. We're going to print in a landscape orientation. Row and column headings are going to be displayed, and the contents of all the cells are fully visible. So let me go to File and Print. Let's change the page orientation to landscape. Let's go to Custom Scaling Options, Sheet. Let's show the row and column headings. And typically when you're printing formulas off, you should try to fit to 2 pages wide, 1 page tall. And let me see if this all fits in. So I can see that's the first formula, that's the second formula. Yeah, that's a perfect fit. So only rows 1 to 29 are visible. So we're going down to 29. So I can see there it's 29. We're printing in a landscape orientation. Row and column headings are displayed, which are the letters and numbers. And the contents of all the cells are fully visible. And before you print, make sure you've entered your candidate details on your spreadsheets. So that should be in the header. So you can see in the header, I've got my details here, and then we've got the footer here. So this is good to print. You can send this to the printer. If you do realize after you printed, not all of the data is shown, you can always print again. Let me just save the changes. Okay, question 23. Create a spreadsheet extract from the data to show trees or shrubs that are. Okay, before I start that, let me take off my formula. So an extract is like filtering. Sometimes in a spreadsheet exam they may say interrogate the data. So if I go back to my Excel, let's take off the formulas. Let's zoom in a little bit and see what we're looking at. Let's just double click to open up the columns. So it's now easier to work out what I'm looking at. Okay, so what do we need to do? So we're going to be doing a filter to extract the data to show trees or shrubs that are a small, large or medium shrub. So large, I think the size is on the category, so let me just zoom out slightly. Okay, what I'm going to do as well, if we just go up, remember for printing purposes we hid rows 1 to 29. For the extract we need to be looking at all of the data. Okay, so let me unhide the sheets, sorry, not the sheet, the rows that were hidden. So if I just click on 29 and 99, I want to unhide the data or the rows. So now we've got all of them. So we've got large, medium, small tree, large shrub, medium shrub. Okay, so we've got more options now to look at. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight this complete table. I'm going to go to Home, Filter, and the first filter is going to be on category. So let me double check now in the question paper. What do we want to see? So we want to see a small tree. So the best way of doing this is category, deselect these options here. So we want a small tree, a large shrub or medium shrub. I'll do it again. So a large shrub, medium shrub, and a small tree. Let's press OK. So we've got the small tree. Yeah. And we should have the medium and large shrubs. So if we go down, large shrub and a medium shrub. Okay, so 1 tree, 2 shrubs. Okay, all of them are evergreen. So where can we see evergreen? It may be in this column here, but let me just have a look. Okay, so here evergreen, you got yes or no, so Y or N, so which refers to yes or no. So again, we can click here. The best way of doing it is just deselect, and you want the ones which are evergreen, so yes. Okay, so let me do that again. And we're now down to 4 different records. Okay, so we've done that. The extract must display only the common names. So only the common names. So we need to keep this column here. The Latin name, I don't think we need to include. So so we don't need the Latin name. Let's hide this column here. So we don't need B. We want likes, tolerates, and dislikes, and evergreen. So we don't need category and height. We can hide both of these columns here. So we've got likes, tolerates, and dislikes, and evergreen, and a notes column for the selected data. Now we're going to print the spreadsheet extract showing the values. Make sure the printout fits on a single page. Header and footer and contents of all the specified cells are fully visible. Okay, so let me just go to File and Print. Let me take off the row and column headings. So we only should have these for formulas normally. Okay, and we can print to portrait, and we can make sure we fit the sheet on one page. So all of the data is visible. You can see here. Header, we got the candidate details, and in the footer we got the file name, file path. Okay, so this is good to print, and I think that's that part done. Okay, so now the last part to do is to save and print off the evidence document. So remember, in the evidence document we took this print screen, so you can print off the evidence now once it's been completed. And we've come to the end of this paper. So just to recap, we've completed a February-March 2019 paper, and in this video I've completed a data analysis section. Okay, so if you do want to find the resources, you can go to my website. If you go to my website, if you click on this tab here, paper 3, you can come down and you can find the question paper. If you click here, you can download the source files, and today I will be linking these links to the videos for these particular spreadsheets. So if you want to also check out the other videos and question papers, you can do. So we've got 2018 here, 2017, and in 17 and 18 I am talking in the videos. Okay, so just before I go, please like and share these videos. Drop your comments below. It's always nice to see your comments, and please show your support to the channel. Please also subscribe. Thanks again for your time.